Om Jnana Tamanasya Ganantana Shalakaya I was born the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight, transcendent knowledge. I therefore my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Okay, so we're continuing our reading of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, entitled Knowledge of the Absolute.
Absolute.
Knowledge of the Absolute. So last week we did text 19, which was a verse that Prabhupada often quoted from. And so this week is text 20. But just a little recap on last week's one. So last week's one said, after many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So full knowledge. So when the soul in the material world has full knowledge, and that's generally only going to be in a human form. The soul, then, other than human form, is not really possible to get full knowledge. So this is only talking about in the human species. And every life, there's an opportunity in the human form we can get some more knowledge. You know, that the human being has a capacity for developing the knowledge, for developing a higher consciousness and understanding who am I and why am I here and why am I suffering and is there a God and what is God and what's my relationship with God? And therefore religion is there. You don't have religion in the ants colony. You don't have religion in the bee colony. You don't have religion in the elephant colony, in the plant colony, in the fish colony. You get the idea. Only human beings have that religious inclination to understand God and to follow God's laws. And trying to love God, you know, and the essence, of course, of religion is to love God. And Jayanti has a question.
How do you know that the animals don't?
Jayanti's saying, how do you know that the animals don't have? Well, you can see what the animals are doing. They do 4 things: ahar, nidram, baya, maituna. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. You don't know what's going on inside. Of course, yeah, we can't see everything what's going on, but we can see through what? We're not through the eyes. We can also see through other things.
Through action.
What's that?
Through action.
See through action. Okay, other things?
Their driving factor, what motivates them.
We should be, devotees especially, should be seeing through the scriptures. Seeing through, it's called Shastra Chakshus or Jnana Chakshus, seeing with knowledge. Of course, you can experience things through the eyes, but not only through the eyes, you can experience things by hearing. So we hear from the Vedas, and the Vedas tell us that, Gulshan, and Jayanti, and anyone else that has these kind of questions, that that we can understand things beyond our sense perception, beyond our eyes, through hearing from the authority of the scriptures, from the Guru and the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, like that. So the scriptures tell us that that's all the non-humans do, is those 4 things. So you might not have seen all the other species and in depth had a look at what they're doing in their 24 hours, but you don't need to, because the scriptures tell us that all the non-human species, that's all they do. 4 things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And I mean, you can see that they're, I mean, like I'm looking out at the cows, and every time I look at the cows, they're just eating grass, or they're sitting down chewing grass, or sleeping like that. I don't see them, you know, I don't see them calling out in a cow's voice, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Moo Krishna. So like that. So you can understand a little bit, but it's confirmed by the scriptures that non-humans, they just do 4 things. So you satisfied, Jayanti?
Yeah.
In the background there?
Very good answer.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, so the scriptures tell us, and that's perfect knowledge. So there's no doubt when the scriptures say that animals and non-humans are not interested in self-realization. They just
You haven't read this book, have you?
The Secret Life of Cows.
No. Where?
Well,
From a mental speculator, or?
Huh? No, cow knows that more than you can think. Honestly, you know that if you have got like in a classroom in a school, there's a 20 boys in there. All 20 have an individual nature, same as cow.
Of course, we're not saying that. We never say.
but
Of course, they have feelings and emotions. I mean, they have a mind and
they
emotions.
they even play hide and seek. And then they run around, and behind the tree they hide it, but they're too big to hide behind the tree. But they play that. Everything in a human they do. I'm reading this book about this for Kalia Prabhu.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, but it's all in relation to the body. It's all in relation to the body or others' bodies. There's nothing spiritual there in their consciousness. There are a few exceptions, like if someone was a devotee of God and then they died, they might, if for some reason they did some wrong things in that life, they might take birth in a lower species. Like, for example, Bharat Maharaj. He was thinking about a deer when he died, so he took birth as a deer. But because of his bhakti, his service to the Lord gave him a special ability to still be thinking about the soul and God in the form of a deer. But that's an exception to the rule. But generally the rule is only the humans can slowly, life after life, develop a higher consciousness more and more. So if you die with 10%, understanding of the absolute, then when you're born again as another human, you'll start off not from 0, but from 10%. And then in that life, if you get another 10%, so then when you die, take birth, you'll start off not from 0, but from 20%. So slowly, you can add up more and more. And when your knowledge is full, as mentioned here in this verse, when you have full knowledge, what is that full knowledge going to be like? That full knowledge is understanding that there's nothing but God. God is everywhere. God is within everything. And because there's nothing other than God, what should we do?
Surrender.
We
should surrender.
Yes.
We should surrender. You can't escape. Not that you have to escape, because God is everywhere, and he's not a mean person is everywhere. That would be pretty bad if there was a mean God everywhere. You can't escape that. That would be pretty horrible. But he's full of love and full of compassion, and he's our best friend. He's like our mother, our father, our friend, everything all wrapped into one like that. And he's everywhere. So, and that's why also a devotee, like we were talking with one of our neighbors, is always full of fear. She's always fearful. She's afraid of our dog. When she walks past our base, she's afraid the dog's going to attack her and everything like that. And but this is what happens when we forget that God's everywhere. We're always afraid. But if we know that God's everywhere and he's my friend and he's going to protect us, or even if something does happen to us, but that's for our best benefit. There's some purpose for that happening, why we got that sickness or why we had that injury or whatever like that. There's a reason for that, and I don't know why, but God knows best, and I leave everything up to him. And that way I can still be peaceful. So, she's expressed an interest, because I've told her I can help you to reduce the fear that you're feeling. So we know the process. But materialistic people, they don't know. She said, I have a process to help me with my fear. And I told her, honestly, I don't see it's working, because I've known her for 3 years, and I haven't seen that her fear level has gone down at all. If anything, I've seen her fear level has gone up. So I said, whatever process you're doing, I don't think it's working, because your fear is not reducing. It seems to be increasing. So then she came back to us a few days later and say, sometime can we get together and can you tell us about your process for dealing with fear and that? I said, sure.
She didn't share with you what her process is?
Well, I know it's all this new age speculation and everything like that, and it doesn't help. It's just all mental. You got to deal with with these problems on a higher plane, on a higher level. So this is a mental problem. So you can't deal with it with the mind. You can't deal with it from the mind. You have to go higher. You have to go higher than the mind is what? Is the intelligence, the buddhi. And higher than intelligence is the soul. So the best way to deal with these things is from a higher platform, from the spiritual platform, from the intellectual platform. Then we can deal with these things. And then what we should notice is we should get good results. The fear should go. And
what's your opinion about how do you get away the fear?
You have to be fully convinced that there's nothing other than God.
Okay.
That God's everywhere and that he loves us and he's protecting us. And so that whatever happens is under his control, and whatever arrangements he makes. I mean, the body's going to die sooner or later, whether you're a devotee or not. But we have faith that whenever death happens and however it happens and wherever we go afterwards, that's his arrangement, which is the best arrangement. And we've surrendered our life to him, and it's all up to him. We don't have to think about it. We should never think about, oh, when am I going to die? How am I going to die? Where am I going to go when I die? What birth am I going to take? Or am I not going to take another birth? We leave all of that up to Krishna. You don't have to fill up your brain with all this stuff, speculating about things. Am I going to take birth as a peacock in my next life, or a cockroach, or a demigod, or a demon, or whatever? That's all left up to Krishna. What should we be thinking about as a surrendered devotee?
Do whatever you think I deserve. Thank you very much.
No, that's there, but we should be thinking about Krishna. What can we do for Krishna? He's thinking about what can I do for my devotee? How can I protect him from all dangers and take him to a nice place and all that? And we should be thinking about what can I do for Krishna? We should never be thinking about ourselves. Oh, I need to make some good arrangements for myself, so I can have a better birth in the next life. And, I got to make sure that when I die, I'm thinking about the right things and all that. No, you just think about Krishna, that Krishna wants me to chant his names. Krishna wants me to hear his glories. Krishna wants me to serve his devotees. Krishna wants me to purify my existence, to control my senses. That's why no meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, gambling. So whatever Krishna wants, we do that. He's not telling us that, you have to worry about your future, Abai, is he? He's not saying, Gulshan, you should be in, be in anxiety about your future, Gulshan. No, Krishna's not telling that. What does Krishna say? Let's look in the 18th chapter, the famous essence of the Bhagavad Gita, full surrender. It's 1866. 1866.
Oh, yes.
Bob, you have to read it. Come on, Bob. You can't let us down. Don't let the team down, Bob.
Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear.
And do not fear.
He said, do not fear. Don't be in any anxiety about yourself. Just surrender to him. And surrender means from that point you have to do what he says, follow his instructions. So what is his instructions? Very simple. Kirtaniya Sadahari. Always chant his names. Always chant his names. Think about him. Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto Mamyaji. So look at the verse before. Look at 1865. Hey, Jointy, turn your speaker off. What's the previous verse say?
Madajija namaskaru Mamevashbhyat yati satyaye pradijatne priyotse sime.
Always think of me. Become my devotee.
I can't think of you, Diva.
Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. See, Gulshan, that's it.
So there you go. You know, Krishna's our very dear friends. You know, so we should have full trust and faith in what Krishna's going to arrange for us. And this is his promise. This is his promise. He promises this. Pradijane. And if we, what are we supposed to do? He's going to look after us, and what the bargain is, he's going to look after us, and then what have we got to do? 4 things. If you can't remember anything other than 4 things, that's okay, but remember these 4 things. You've got to always think of Krishna, and the easiest way to do that is how?
Chant his name.
By chanting.
Chanting.
It's the easiest. How can you not think of Krishna if you're saying Krishna's names? Like, if I'm going to say Bob, 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 guess who I'm going to be thinking about?
Bob.
I'm not really thinking about the cockroach.
That's not true. Even
Bob.
if you say Bob, you're still thinking about Krishna because he's in you. You know, for last 30 years you're doing that. No matter what you say, Bob.
Naturally, if you saying someone's name, you remember the person. You remember the person who has that name. You know, if you're saying Jayanti, 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 you'll be remembering Jayanti. You're not going to be remembering someone else. So that's natural. If you're always saying Krishna's name, you're going to remember Krishna. You're going to be thinking about Krishna. And then he says, become my devotee. So not become the politician's devotee. Oh, I am, who's servant of you? I'm a servant of the politicians. No way. Forget it. They're rascals. No, we're a servant of Krishna. You know, I'm a servant of the dog. I'm a servant of the you know, the demigods. I'm a servant of Indra and Ganesh and Durga and Shiva and you know, the family members and everyone else. But except Krishna, no, not like that. You know, isn't it in the material world? We're devoted to everyone except for God. You know, everyone else we have time for and we do things for except for God. And we want to change that. So, I mean, I'm not saying you can't do things for your family or whatever, but the first priority, the central point of all relationships is that we should love God. You know, become devotee means to be devoted, you know, to have love for a particular person. That's you devote, you know, I'm devoted to my child, I'm devoted to my parents, I'm devoted to my partner, I'm devoted to this animal, whatever like that. But the central point of our love should be to God. It doesn't mean you can't love anyone else, but the central point is God. And then automatically, if you love God, you will love the dog. You'll love everyone's dog, not just your dog. And you'll love all the men and all the women and all the old people and all the young people and all the animals and everything. So that'll automatically be there if you love God. But that's not automatically there if you don't love God. If you don't love God, you love all the animals? No, because then why do you eat McDonald's? You know, why do you eat KFC? You don't. You say, oh, I love all people, but you don't love the animals. So that the love is not complete. You know, save the whales, and they call out that while they're eating their beefsteak. You know, so why are you loving the whales but you don't love the cows? You know, so, you know, we love the dog, but, you know, once again, we don't love the cows. You know, we protect dogs, but we kill cows. You know, so what kind of love is that? It's not complete. It's not complete. But someone that loves Krishna loves everyone. You know, so God should be the central point of a devotion. So saying, become my devotee. So you're already devoted, but you're devoted to everyone else. So Krishna's saying here, devote yourself to me, not just your wife and your husband and your kids and your parents and your, you know, the government and everyone else, your pets, but love me, you know, so like that. And then he's saying, worship me. And we worship others, right? We worship the ancestors. Some cultures, as you know, like in Southeast Asia, there's a lot of people worship the ancestors. And some cultures, they worship ghosts and spirits, you know, tantric arts and things like that. And then, and some people, so like in India and places like that, people worship demigods like that. Different cultures like that, they worship demigods. But here he's saying, and of course you know, some people worship their car, right? They worship their car, you know, and they worship their pets. But Krishna's saying here,
Who's worshipped the car? I've never seen anyone worship the car.
we did it at New Gokula.
No.
But people asked, and I when that was when I was not a manager, but and the devotees did it. We had the pujaris, which is supposed to be worshipping Radha Gokulananda, worshipping the car. Someone got a new car, and then they offer incense to it and flowers and a ghee lamp and all this kind of stuff to a car. You know,
that's
so
just blessing the car.
It's just a blessing.
It's not worshipping it.
It is worship. It is. I mean, you could call
worship
it
only
you like,
Krishna,
but it is
because they're saying a mantra
worship.
of the Krishna while they are putting the flowers and that, but they are chanting Krishna's the Maha mantra and things. It's not lying there. Audi is the great, or Mercedes.
I mean, if you're operating on the platform that everything is Krishna, like what we're saying this verse says, if you and you see that the car is also Krishna's energy, then there's no harm. Or that car is going to be used to drive to the temple or to carry books and distribute Prabhupada's books or whatever, then there's no harm. That object is being used in Krishna's service. It is worshipable. Anything in relation to Krishna is worshipable. But then if that car gets driven to the casino, that's a problem. You know, or the liquor store, that's a problem. Or McDonald's, you get your car worshipped at New Gokula and then drive it to the casino, that becomes problematic. I mean, you're not seeing that car is belonging to Krishna. You think the car is my car and it's used for my sense gratification. Actually, every car is meant for Krishna's sense gratification and our bodies and our wealth and everything. But, you know, so why are they getting their car worshipped? Often is to protect their sense gratification. And that's not devotional service. We don't want to help people protect their sense gratification. We want to help people to serve Krishna. But, you know, of course, if they're giving a donation to the temple, I mean, that money can be used for Krishna's service. So it's not all bad or anything, but it could be better. We could teach people to use your car in Krishna's service. Don't use it for just for your own sense gratification, or especially don't use it for sinful activities, because we don't want to be supporting people's, you know, sinful activities. Of course, if they're going to drive their car all the time come to the farm, come to the temple, that's nice. But does that make sense, Gulshan?
It does, but like you're going to use your car, your personal purpose too. You're going to work and you got to buy the groceries and things like that. It's just a multi-purpose. You're not going to be just...
So that's not, I mean, maintaining your body, that's legitimate.
Of course.
But engaging in sinful activities I was talking about. We don't
want to I got your point.
That. Because let's face it, not everyone that comes as a pure devotee, you know, are going to use everything in Krishna's service. So
that's right.
So, you know, and to get somebody that's their service is to worship Krishna, to then go and worship some sense enjoyer's object is not necessarily a good thing. For someone that's not worshipping Krishna, that's fine. You know, if they want to worship their own car, no problem. And that's their choice. But don't get some devotee of Krishna to, you know, worship your car so it won't have an accident, you know, and you'll be more happy or whatever. You know, that's not really the right mentality. And you shouldn't take someone away from serving Krishna to serve, you know, your sense gratification. You know, we're supposed to be serving Krishna, it means we're supposed to be giving to Krishna. Don't come and take from Krishna. You know, you come to the temple, why? You know, to give something to Krishna, or you're coming to get something from Krishna. That's not really the right mentality. Well, I want to go to the temple to take my new car so the devotees can protect it from any possible problems. So it means you're taking service from Krishna. It's not really the right mentality. I mean, it's good that the person is thinking about God. So there's something good there, but it could be better. You know, like we'd have people come to the farm and say, oh, wow, they've got frangipani. Oh, I want some of that in my garden. Then break some of it off and take it away. Oh, they look at those peacocks. I want to take some of those feathers home. So to pull the feathers out of the peacock, out of the bird, you know, and to take it home. you know, and as the manager for some point in time, I had to like chastise these people. This is not the right mentality.
Still is happening today. Still happening the same, Prabhuji. We
So
stopped
I'm just
many.
saying.
Yeah. It's still happening.
I mean, we know people are ignorant, but our job is not to be ignorant like that. That's what this verse is saying. We want full knowledge, you know, and then you have full knowledge and you help other people to get knowledge, but don't just maintain their ignorance. You know, especially what is ISKCON? It's an educational institution. It's not just a temple where you go and you know, offer respects and take prasadam. It's supposed to be in the arti, but it's supposed to be an educational place. So everyone should leave that farm less ignorant than when they came, you know, with more knowledge than when they came. You know, ideally, any place related with ISKCON should be educating people, giving people knowledge, you know, or at least give them a book so they can get some knowledge later on or something like that, you know. And so yeah, this verse is saying that, you know, that we want the knowledge to build up life after life, and then when the knowledge is full, you realize there's nothing other than God, and then you surrender, and then He takes care, as this one in 1866 is saying, He takes care of us. And however, I would like to say, and I have mentioned it other times, that this is saying, you know, that it takes many lifetimes to get liberated from the material world, to get out of here, go back to Godhead. So this was the general rule previously, that it takes many lifetimes, slowly. And most Hindus have that idea that getting liberation or moksha, mukti, is a slow process. However, I'll give you a clue. 500 years ago, approximately, something changed. So, like Prabhupada said, that we can go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime, in one life, back home, back to Godhead. So why have we changed that? You know, Krishna's saying here many lifetimes to go back to Godhead, but now Prabhupada's saying 50 years ago, this lifetime go back to Godhead. So what changed?
It's Kali Yuga.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes, it's in Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come, the Yuga Avatar, incarnation for Kali Yuga, and he's given the benediction that you just chant Hare Krishna and you can go back home, back to Godhead. Chant, dance, and take prasadam. This was the formula that Lord Chaitanya was teaching and living by: chanting, dancing, and taking prasadam. So just by these simple activities, that one can become completely purified and get full knowledge and fully surrender and go back to Godhead in this lifetime. So yeah, it doesn't need to take many lifetimes. We shouldn't think, oh, there's no rush, I'll just go slowly, take a few. No, don't think like that, because actually Kali Yuga is going to get worse and worse, you know. So we should not, and we shouldn't want to take risks. In many lives means there could be more risks. Like I said, Bharat Maharaj, you know, he got attracted to a deer and he had to come back, and so many things. So people go backwards like that. So it's better to try to be serious about Krishna consciousness. Okay, let me use this one life for Krishna. I've given so many lives for sense gratification. That's what we should think. So many lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, I've used them just for my sense gratification in different forms, you know, as animal forms, plant forms, bird forms, human forms, and just enjoying my senses, the genitals, the eyes, the tongue, nose, so forth, flying in the sky sometimes, swimming in the ocean sometimes, running on the land, you know, like that, and just wasting so many lives for sense gratification. This one life, why can't I just give this one life for Krishna? And if we do that, take it seriously, as Lord Chaitanya said, Prabhupada said, we can go back to Godhead. And then that's the perfection of life, eternal life. No more birth, no more old age, no more disease, no more death, no more different kind of miseries.
No more suffering.
Yeah. Like here in New Zealand, it's ridiculous. It's been like raining almost continuously for 1 year, and I'm not joking. There's hardly been a week has gone by in the whole year where it hasn't been like bucketing rain. And when I've given up gardening, if I run out of food, well, that's it. I'm going back to Godhead.
No, but good, nice.
So I can't grow anything. What's that?
Need water for the plants to grow.
Yeah, but my plants are drowning. I
Yeah.
got
Too much
trees that
water.
are dying from just sitting in water. So they're drowning, like that.
And
It's an inundation.
other part of the world, there are heat wave, all the Europe.
I
and
know, yeah. See, 48 degrees.
bushfire,
Or whatever.
yeah.
It's just
Tunisia,
like that.
Tunisia is burning. Yesterday, my husband was watching the Tunisian news.
Yeah.
Fires there.
So that's what we want to understand. This material world is full of suffering. We should not desire to stay here, but we should want to get out of here. Let's look at that verse talking about the Krishna himself who made this material world, explains what it really is all about. So 9th chapter, text, it's around 14, 9, 14, 13.
Bob, you got to read it?
14. Oh no, maybe it's a little bit, where is it? No, I missed it. 9th chapter. Oh no, I got the chapter wrong. It's 8th chapter, text number 14. No, 15. Yeah.
After attaining me, the great soul who are yogis in devotional never return to the temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection.
Yeah, so Krishna, who made the material, he's telling us it's temporary. It means you can't stay here. Don't try to make permanent happy situation here. Forget it. It's not going to happen. It's temporary.
I give it an example there. When you go for camping, you make a tent. You don't make a brick house. Why? Because after 4 days you have to leave, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is like a little longer camp. That's all.
Yeah. Or another good one I like to use is a transit lounge. In the airport has a transit lounge.
Yeah.
You don't try to create some dwelling place there, or set up your kitchen to cook and everything in the transit lounge, because you're only there for a short time. You're just passing through.
That's right.
Yeah, we're all like travelers. We're all just passing through.
Second example I give that, like, we are all traveler. We are in the train, and the train stop at the station called Earth. For 80 years, and you start making a house on the station. Who makes a house on the station? When train has to depart anytime.
But even you might think, okay, I accept that it's temporary, but I can enjoy it in this temporary time. But Krishna says, no, it's full of dukkha.
Train has to depart. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, you're either going to get burnt or drowned, or like that, or it's hot, or it's cold, or whatever like that. You get a stomach ache, backache, whatever like that. So many things, car accident, or the politicians are, taxing you right to the max, and you work so hard for hardly any return you get out of it, like that, or the partner says, see you later, mate, I don't like you anymore, get lost, so like that. So many things happen, beyond our control. We're so helpless like that. So we should wake up and realize, well, this is not my real home. My real home is with Krishna in the spiritual world, and he loves me. He's never going to say, bye, get lost, I don't like your face anymore, like that. The only reason why we did leave there is because we chose to leave. Not that Krishna wanted to get rid of us from the spiritual world, because we come from there, but not that he wanted to get rid of us, but we didn't want to stay with him, and that's our fault completely, due to our own envy of Krishna and jealousy, and wanting to be the enjoyer like that we have left Krishna. But Krishna always wants us back. He always wants to be with us, and he loves us unconditionally. So
but on that note, okay, we return, never return to this temporary world once we attain that perfect whatever, but if we choose to, again, we could, no? I mean, I'm just
true. And other people have also said that. That's a very good question. The idea is that when we go back to the spiritual world, Krishna gives us a little bit of a memory of our experience in the material world. So it's like a bad dream in the back of your mind. You know, like sometimes you had a bad dream, you can't remember it clearly in your mind, but you have a vague memory that, well, there was some really nasty, scary thing happened to me last night, but you can't, necessarily recall it exactly. But that bit of a memory is there. So Krishna gives us a bit of a memory that don't go to the material world. It's a really horrible place, So because that memory is there, generally, after returning to the spiritual world, no one comes back. However, Prabhupada did say it is possible because free choice is always there. So free choice is always there. However, because you have a little bit of a memory that you went there and you had a really bad experience, I don't want to go back. Like if a child has never touched the hot stove, is there a possibility that they'll touch it?
Of course.
Of course. I said, well, it looks very bright and flickering. It looks pretty cool. I want to touch it. And the parents say, no, no, no. But because they haven't experienced it, they generally will touch it. But of course, when they do touch it, is there a chance they're going to touch it again?
No.
No way. What do they say? Once burnt, twice shy.
Yeah.
So that's once you have that experience, then you'll never want to go again. So it's highly unlikely, as Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, that once you go back to the spiritual world, that you don't return.
It's the same as when you had an experience of a higher taste.
Yeah.
You're not interested in the, when you had a big savanna and big, water, you're not going to be interested in the small ponds and some creeks and things because you got a ocean.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, a higher taste.
Yeah. So although previously it took many lifetimes to get that full knowledge and go back to Godhead, but now special exemption because we're in Kali Yuga. Lord Chaitanya is so merciful, so kind that if we take his process that he's given us, chanting, dancing and feasting, very seriously, then we can follow the instructions of the spiritual master. We can go back to Godhead in one life, which is amazing, which is absolutely amazing because normally it takes many, many lives. So actually, it's said that even the demigods are very eager to take birth as a human in Kali Yuga because you can achieve the highest benefit in a very minimal time. And very less time.
So we are very lucky.
Yeah.
We got opportunity.
There could even some of the humans here today on this earth could have been demigods that have chosen to take birth as humans to get this quick route to go back to Godhead.
Prabhupada must be the one of them.
Oh, definitely. He's one of Krishna's associates, even more than a demigod.
Yeah.
But some disciples. They definitely want to take advantage of Lord Chaitanya's, what is it like in Monopoly, right? They have get out of jail free card.
Get out of jail free, yeah.
It's like you got the get out of jail free card, like that.
Couldn't demigods, because they, as I understand it, they are all very staunch devotees of Krishna. And
however, with material desires.
But couldn't they, where they are as demigods?
Yeah.
I don't know, like to also take advantage of this fast track, I mean, do they have to take birth as humans only have this fast track?
No, they can go back to Godhead from the higher planets, but it's very difficult there to go back to Godhead from there because there's so much enjoyment there. Imagine even like for the men here in the group, imagine you're surrounded by half-naked beautiful women all the time.
Oh my God.
And you had like plates and plates full of gulab jamuns and samosas and kachoris and paneer sabjis and chutneys and puris and everything at your availability, and it was never too hot, never too cold, and you never got any diseases. And you never got old age. There was your eye power didn't get less, your stomach power didn't get less. Everything worked, your senses all worked at full power. would it be very easy in that scenario?
No,
to
very hard.
be focused on Krishna? No, very
Very
hard.
hard to live. Yeah.
Very hard. So it said the enjoyment there, as you can't imagine, it's like hundreds of thousands of times more. Of course, the enjoyment in heaven is it's again hundreds of thousands of times more if you merge into the Brahmajyoti, the spiritual light. And then if you multiply that unlimitedly, that's when you go back to the spiritual world is unlimitedly more. But still, from this point of view, the pleasure in the heavenly planets is hundreds of thousands of times more than here. You know, so it's a lot of distractions, you could say, too many distractions. Even now in Kali Yuga on earth, we get distracted sometimes, isn't it? So many devotees get off track just by some, you know, compared to the heavens. The women here are like old hags, you know, not to be insulting to any woman, but comparatively to their bodies. I mean, I'll give you an example.
Look, I haven't been to heaven, but the women here are good enough for me.
That's what I say. But like when Urvasi, who was an Apsara sent by Indra to sidetrack Vishwamitra Muni, a sage, when Urvasi walked into the forest. Yeah, Vishwamitra. It's Vishwamitra. So when Urvasi walked into Menaka. Urvasi she distracted someone else. Yeah, she distracted someone else. Yayati could have been. But anyway, Menaka, Urvasi, there's many of them. But when they walked into the forest area, there was an aroma from their body just filled up the forest.
Whoa.
Filled up with her own, not perfume aroma, that was from her body's aroma. Whereas we have a bad aroma coming from our bodies, and we have to cover that up with the perfume and everything to stop the bad smells coming out of it. And put some stuff in your mouth too, and like that. So, but their bodies are so fragrant and beautiful and everything like that. It's a big difference. So, but even though there's not much enjoyment here, still, you know, sometimes we get sidetracked, deviated. What to speak of in heaven, it's very difficult. So that's why it's said it's the best position to go back to Godhead from earth, because too much enjoyment, it's very difficult. And also if you go down into the hellish planets, too much suffering, it's very hard. You try to chant Hare Krishna when you've got the thumb screws on you and you're being roasted in the fire and, you know, on hot coals and everything, and you're being stood on by elephants and all the different kind of punishments there. Good luck. You know, it's very hard, you know. I remember like when my appendix burst, there was a few days where I couldn't chant. I just couldn't chant. You know, when the suffering's too much, it's very hard to chant. And when there's a lot of enjoyment, it's also you put your beads down, you know, like that. Yeah. So this is perfect. It's not too much suffering and not too much enjoyment, you know. So this is the perfect place to go back to Godhead, like that. But still, some demigods, it's said, like especially Lord Brahma and some of the sages on Brahmaloka, the top planet in the universe. Some of them, they go back to Godhead from Brahmaloka, like that. But sometimes it's said Brahma, he doesn't, because he has still some material desires, so to take birth again. So yeah, it's a case by case, case by case. So this, what the next like 5 or so verses, quite a string of verses, deals with everyone else in the material world. So the verse we did last week, number 19, dealt with those that have full knowledge, and they realize there's nothing other than God, and they just surrender and go back to Godhead. And then there's everyone else. Well, who's everyone else? All those with material desires. So these coming verses deal with all those persons in the material world that have material desires and what's happening with them. So in full knowledge, then automatically what will follow is surrender to the Lord. What's the opposite of knowledge?
Ignorance.
Ignorance, okay. So in ignorance, we get sucked in by material desires. You know, why do we get sucked in by lust and greed and anger and all envy and all these kind of things?
Because of ignorance.
Because of ignorance, you know. If we weren't ignorant, we wouldn't get so attracted to material things, you know, to want to enjoy material things. The only reason why we do that is because of ignorance. I'll give you an interesting example, just popped into my mind. We get sucked into things at night that you would never get sucked into in the morning or during the daytime. But there's something that happens at night that makes you do really stupid things, you know, like just watch stupid things on the TV or the internet or whatever like that. And that's when most people have sex, right? Is in the night. No one has sex at Mongolarity, you know, whatever like that, you know. So that's always happening in the night time. And people go out at night and they drink. People go out. They don't do that, you know, at breakfast time. They're not going out to drink, you know, whatever like that. It's very rare. I mean, some people might, but it's very rare. Comparatively, a lot more of these things get done at night. So what's happening?
Because you know, the ghost and all that, that's their time.
Okay, and the ghosts also come out at night. But what is happening at night?
It's dark.
Giant is saying ignorance. Yeah, so that's
dark,
the mode of ignorance time. So the sun has gone down, which is the sun is passion. That's the passionate time during the day when the sun's up. It's passionate time. And then when the sun goes down, then it's fully darkness, and that's the ignorance time.
So then we have to do chanting more in the night time then.
Well, I mean, that ignorance time is better to give your body time to rest, you know, shut it down, go to sleep. So when the sun goes down, whatever, go to sleep. Of course, I mean, if you're an advanced devotee and you don't need to sleep, then okay, you chant then as well. But, you know, if you need to sleep, better to sleep then. Don't sleep at Mongolarity. You know, don't sleep after breakfast. Actually, if you sleep after breakfast, is very bad for the health.
It is
very bad for the health. You know, the best time to sleep is like go to bed by, you know, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at the latest. 8, 9, 10 o'clock. That's the best time for your health and also for your spiritual life. There's a saying, right? Early to bed, early to rise keeps you healthy, wealthy, and wise. Those are all good benefits, aren't they? Healthy, wealthy, wise. How to get that? Early to bed, early to rise. So that's fitting in with that time. You sleep during the mode of ignorance time, and you get up in the mode of goodness time. Early in the morning, like 1.5 hours before sunrise, that's mode of goodness time. And that's the best time for our spiritual practices in the early morning before the sun rises.
Morning, you do quality chanting. You can do chanting 9 o'clock in the night, and you do chanting 5 in the morning. There is a difference.
Generally, there's a big difference. Not many people have better chanting in the night time. Some I do, but most would agree that they have the best chanting.
Morning is the best chanting.
Yeah. So yeah, these coming verses deal with persons that are victimized by material desires. But the only reason why we're so victimized by these things is because of ignorance. So yeah, that's what we want to deal with. And fortunately, Prabhupada has come and enlightening us. Like we say, right? I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the shining torch of transcendental knowledge. Therefore, I offer my respects to him. So that's the essence of everything. Why are we suffering? It's because of ignorance. It's because of ignorance. Because of ignorance, we engage in sinful activities, and because of sinful activities, we get the reaction is suffering. You know, so, but we can get out of this ignorance by knowledge, and that knowledge comes from the spiritual master, you know, who's a living scripture and is telling.
I think the suffering is that because the desire as well. If I buy $150,000 BMW, I have to work like a donkey to pay them off. It's a desire to have a BMW and suffering.
Yeah, it definitely leads to suffering. Yeah, that's what we're saying. You know, material desires that lead to suffering. You know, because staying in the material world, working like an ass.
I noticed that people are working so hard. I've got friends there. They are working, man, like a donkeys. And I said, why? Because they got $2 million house to pay.
Yeah.
I said, it stays to the planet, belongs to the planet, stays to the planet. It's just a shelter. Oh my God. They just, Anyway.
Therefore, it's recommended, for someone with higher knowledge to live a simple life. That's why we say simple living, high thinking. They go well together.
That's
if
why
you live simply, you can do the high thinking. If you have complicated living, then you get simple thinking. There's no time to think. You just got to run to pay the mortgage. There's no time.
Prabhupada said you got a 1 acre of land and 1 cow. Your life will be very simple.
Yeah, then all your bodily needs, you can get all your food and shelter and that from that. And away you
everything.
go.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, let's read text 20, the Sanskrit in English. Chapter 7, text 20. Kamais tais tyre hata gyana.
Kamais tais hata gyana.
Prapadyante nyadevata.
Prapadante nyadevata.
Tam tam niyamam astaya.
Tam tam niyamam astaya.
Prakritya niyata swaya.
Prakritya niyata swaya.
Gulshan, would you like to read the English, please?
Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature.
Yeah.
They don't know the Bhagavad Gita, that's why.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't come to this class, that's why.
Yeah. So, of course, there are many people on the planet that worship demigods, but according to Krishna here, he's saying that that's less intelligent.
What about serving that a servant of the servant? Like
yeah. So, good question. That it's recommended that we don't serve God directly. We serve the servant of God, the devotee of God. And we understand that demigods are devotees. They're devotees of God also. So, if your mentality is that you're worshipping the demigod because you see that the demigod is a devotee of Krishna and you're praying to that demigod to help you to become a better devotee yourself. Please engage me in Krishna's service. Please enlighten me in Krishna's service. So if you're approaching the demigod in that way, then that's within the parameters of Krishna consciousness. There's no problem with that. That's good. However, if you're not seeing that the demigod is a devotee of God, a devotee of Krishna, you're just seeing them as a powerful being that can fulfill your material desires, and you're approaching them, oh, Shiva, please give me a nice wife. Durga, please give me a nice husband. Ganesh, give me lots of money, help my business to be successful. You get the idea, right? So if you're connecting with them just to improve your sense gratification, then that's less intelligent. However, like the gopis, they worshipped Katyayani, which is a form of Durga, for 1 month. They did special fasting. They only ate khichdi, rice and dal cooked together without any spices. They ate only khichdi for 1 month, and they took bath early in the morning. They made a form of Durga out of mud, and they worshipped that form for 1 month. And so they had all kind of austerities. But what was their purpose of doing that? They prayed. They all had the same prayer. Guess what the prayer was?
Gopis, I don't know.
Giantly said, their prayer was, please give me Krishna as my husband. They all had the same desire, that they all wanted Krishna as their husband. They all wanted Krishna as their husband. And Krishna fulfilled their desire when he called them in the night.
Oh, yes.
And they did the rasa dance. Because in Vedic culture, a woman can't be outside at night except for with the husband, like that. So by doing that, he made them all his wives, like that. And even one other pastime before that, which we don't normally talk about these things in public, but you guys are all, know how it all works in Krishna consciousness. So, and Prabhupada talks about this. There's a chapter about it in the Krishna book. One time after they did this worship of Katyayani for a month, they finished off their month of austerities by taking a bath. Now, when in the river Yamuna, and in Indian culture, when women take a bath, they go to bath naked. So they put their clothes, hang it on trees' branches and stuff, or leave it on the bank, leave their clothes there. And men, when they take a bath, they normally wear a towel around them, which is called a gamsha, or at least a loincloth, kopans. But women, they would go completely naked. And traditionally in India, the place where the women bath in the river is completely separate from where the men take bath. Men are not allowed in the area where the women take bath, and vice versa.
Bob listening very carefully.
But I mean, if women go in the area where the men take bath, it's not a big deal because they're wearing the gamsha anyway, the towel. But anyway, definitely men are off limits to go where the women take bath in Indian culture. And the women all take bath together and they have a good time. And so they did that. And then at that time, Krishna came with some of his boyfriends and they nicked all their clothes.
Yes, that's right.
and they went up in a tree. And Krishna went up in the tree and took all the clothes up with him in the tree. And then the gopis had enough time in the bath and they wanted to come out and they looked for their clothes and the clothes weren't there and saw that Krishna had all their clothes. Come on, Krishna, enough of this fun and games. Give us our clothes back. We're starting to get cold and everything like that. We're going to complain to your father, Nanda Maharaj, about you rascal. He's going to give you a good bashing, when we tell him what you've done and everything. And then Krishna, argued with them and they argued back and forth and everything like that. But why did Krishna do like that?
Because he liked the girl?
No, not at all. Is it because Krishna had some desire to enjoy his senses? No.
Okay.
He was trying to fulfill the desire of the gopis. Because they wanted to have him as their husband.
Okay.
Now, which men can see in Vedic culture a woman naked?
It's
The Brahmin.
It's not a hard question.
No.
Now, which man is allowed to see the woman naked in Vedic culture?
Oh, only the husband.
Only the husband. So if the woman is standing naked in front of Krishna, what does that mean? What's Krishna's relationship with the woman?
Yeah.
He's the husband. So that way he accepted them all as a husband. And while they were talking with Krishna shivering in the water, they were trying to cover up their body parts and everything like that. And he asked them to come out one at a time and get their clothes. And
he's naughty. He's very naughty.
He's very naughty. But yeah, he's fulfilling their desire.
Yeah.
So like that. And full surrender. So that's what we read in the last verse, full surrender. When you know that Krishna's everything, then you just surrender. And externally they were, a bit upset, you could say, but internally they were very satisfied, all of them internally, that Krishna had that relationship with them. He had accepted them as his wives like that. So he was fulfilling their desire. So it wasn't that he had any personal ambition or desire to enjoy, seeing naked women, but that they had that desire to have Krishna as a husband. So that was the way that he chose to do that. Because to formally accept them through the normal process, go to the church or whatever and marry them wasn't possible to do that. So he did it that way. He's accepted them as his wives like that. So you can approach, a devotee of the Lord can approach the demigods and have a relationship with the demigods if the intention is right. Like we can approach Ganesh and say, because he removes obstacles, we can say to Ganesh, you know, please remove the obstacles in the way of my serving Krishna and going back to Godhead. Okay? But if you approach Ganesh just to make a lot of money, which you could also do, then that's not allowed in terms of that's not pure devotional service anymore. But if you ask him to remove the obstacles and you're surrendering to Krishna, that's still pure devotional service. One disciple of Prabhupada asked him, Prabhupada, is it okay if I worship Ganesh? Prabhupada said, if you give me $10,000 a month, you can do it. He said that. Because that's the idea, right? You know, that money may come if you worship the demigod like that. Money may come, but what are you going to do with the money? You know, so that might be a trap for you. So best is to surrender that to the spiritual master like that, because that, you know.
Krishna or his creation, you can't have both.
Yeah, I mean, just you have to be careful when you deal with a material energy. You have to be very careful. The two biggest traps in spiritual life is money and woman, or from a woman's point of view, money and men. You know, so they're the two biggest traps that can take us away. So if you are going to deal with those things, then you need to be very careful. And that's why Prabhupada's, you know, sort of indicating to that devotee, better you don't do that. You know, worship Ganesh. And if you are, well, give some of the money to me, because otherwise it's going to, you know, cause you problems like that. So, yeah, these are different points to consider. But generally devotees of Krishna just go to Krishna. And even if you do have some material desire, it's recommended to ask Krishna. You get that? See, people go to the demigods to fulfill their material desire. Hey, this echo thing that started
What's
last
happening
week,
there?
it started
Same
now.
thing happening
It
last
just
week.
started now.
Yeah.
It's about the same time.
Yeah, same time. I think there's a class for 1 hour only. Exact after 1 hour, these things happen.
Hey, if there's a ghost in this computer, get lost.
I don't believe in the ghost. Krishna is with me.
Krishna, it'll go.
Okay, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hey, I'll tell you what, don't be suggesting if we all sign out and sign back in. Let's try that out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll stop the call, and you all just get back into the call. Okay.